doing it.
This is us. It's happening.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Hey, did I tell you last week that I got a VR headset?
Yeah. We talked about that.
Okay. Yeah.
You even showed it.
I don't have it down here anymore, but I did check out some 3D movies in it that I said I was gonna experiment with that. I watched the Into the Spider-Verse, the Spider-Man animated one. That was one of the best movie experiences. I never before has 3D added so much to the movie experience for me, with the exception of maybe Gravity, which I haven't been able to get a hold of a 3D version of it yet, but oh boy, I'm excited about that, because that might actually be more impressive than the theater going experience.
I did see that one in the theater. I think.
Yeah.
Is that the only 3D movie I've seen in a theater? Maybe.
Yeah, I avoid them like the plague. I do not like it, but with the headset. With the headset though, it's different. The 3D actually works. It feels like there's depth to the image, and things feel like they're just a little bit parallaxed, and it actually adds to it. I don't think it's necessary for all movies, certainly. I don't think it adds to a lot, but there are some things where if you're using it as an added bit, it's not quite as big a distinction as color. From black and white, but it does add something. So I'm going to keep experimenting. I'm excited about Gravity.
Well, I imagine here's what I would want to see in 3D. So I did catch up with all the John Wick movies, and that would be ridiculously cool to see in 3D, or even have a John Wick movie, or just like play around with that as you are like helping John shoot people or something. Like you can go around or you like try to attack him, or I don't know. It'd be
the VR experience is still really young right now. It's still just a new technology, a new art form. What I'm excited about is when the storytellers, the real storytellers, come in and start to play with this new form, because with VR it's not a passive experience. You need to be engaged and interacting, and it seems to be that story is more of a discovered thing, where it's like we just plop you into an environment and you get to do what you want and discover the story as you go, which is a neat way to tell a story. You have to think about, well, what if they went this way and they encountered this piece of information before this one over here? You can't have it be entirely linear, but that makes the story arguably more engaging, because you have to piece it together yourself. So maybe in that way it's more hypnotic, it's more transformational.
I just thought of a lived experience that'd be really, really interesting in VR. So there is a music camp called the Puget Sound Guitar Workshop.
I thought that you had the word Puget in there.
I was getting there. I was like,
that's Muget. I think she meant.
I'm time traveling. I'm already talking about the things that are in the future. Puget Sound Guitar Workshop has been around for 35 plus years or something like that. And it's this, summer camp, picture summer camp, a bunch of cabins and stuff. And you've got like the dining hall and then the like lodge where people perform and different circles. So on any given day prior to any of the concerts or dinners, in free time, there will be different song circles happening, or people getting together to just work on a piece that they want to perform together at the concert. People have never played. Sometimes people have never played an instrument, or starting one for new, and then they find these other people who are like accompanying, and you sort of like part of the invitation is to try new things and and play with new people. So it'd be really cool, because on any day you've just got to like, you're walking and you're like, oh, I'm going to get more juice or get more water. So you go to the dining hall to get water and juice filled up. And then you wander past all these different, like, oh, there's a fiddle circle and there's a banjo thing. And there's like, everybody's doing Beatles in the lounge. And, and it's cool because you can just hang out and sing for a minute and then wander. But you're like, you meet somebody, like, oh, can we work on that song right now? And then you wander over and you work on a song. So in VR, to have the opportunity to sort of like flow through a space in nature and wander in and out of different song circles of people doing rad things like that. That'd be so cool.
Well, and think about being able to pause the experience and then go, you're like, what is it? FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I'm at this table, but what's happening at that table? It's fine. I'll just be at this table right now and then rewind it and go over to that table and see what was happening there. And the idea of like, imagine creating movies that have, you know, the content of 12 different movies that you have to go and find all over the place. And it's just a space that occupies a certain time. Again, I don't know, because I don't think of myself as a storyteller in the film kind of way. I wonder when really creative minds start thinking about this. Like I heard Guillermo del Toro was working on some VR stuff, and I'm like, oh yes, please. That's what I want to see. I want to see someone like that come in and see what they play with.
I want to see them remake the movie Clue in VR.
Yeah, you could have it all going simultaneously.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. Yeah.
Also, Noises Off could be interesting because in theory, Noises Off goes over a length of time. So it's not the same day, but the forward, you know, in front of the stage and back of the stage or something like that. Somebody could redo a thing like Noises Off where you just watch a theater show just go down the hill.
You know what? I just saw advertised that they're doing like a theater production of Clue that's sort of like an audience participation thing in LA. And I was just like, that's your actors. You just go get those people and be like, okay, we're going to rewrite this for a VR experience.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Somebody watching this, you go run with that idea. I'm busy.
Yeah. By the way, welcome to the show.
Oh yeah. Hi. Enlightened Couch Potato. That's us.
Yay. We do the things with the stuff. Hey, we gave ourselves assignments. We were saying last week that we didn't know what we were going to do, but we both watched The Tomorrow War and Independence Day. Here's what I would like to do. Well, so it was 4th of July recently. So Independence Day feels.
How was your 4th, by the way?
It's all right. I don't really do it.
You didn't fireworks or anything?
Nah. The state and city tried to outlaw them because it's been so dry up here that hazardous conditions. And it's not my, do I have a holiday? I tend not to holiday. And this one, for personal reasons, is not what I really celebrate. It's not about the country. It's about some other thing.
Yeah, we had a conversation. We had a conversation this year about decorating for it, and I noticed that I actually had weirdness about that. That I was like, I'll go watch fireworks and stuff, but I noticed that I get triggered around displays of patriotism.
Yeah,
and I don't even like. I'm not anti-America in a way that a lot of people are. I think America is pretty awesome, and for a long time was the best ideas that anybody had come up with about how to run a country. I shy away from like taking pride in things that you have nothing to do with, that you didn't work to make this happen. And the idea of being proud of your country, that makes me uncomfortable. I'm not proud of this country. I think this country is interesting and it has lots of flaws and it's great in a lot of other ways and it's way more freedom than many other countries. But why should I be proud of that? Why? Like that feels a lot like being proud of my skin color, and I don't really want to be that either. I
have a fear. Is it a fear? I'm just not fond of evangelism in any form.
Yeah.
So even an overdose of fandom gets a little like creepy, and so.
Now, in terms of holidays in general, though, I do appreciate opportunities to party and meet people and have fun and do social things and have ritual, and so we had a freaking block party here.
Oh,
wow. And it was announced beforehand. Apparently, this community does this kind of thing a lot, but not for the last 18 months or whatever. So this was the first time that restrictions were down enough that we could do it. And we got to meet all of our neighbors, and it was literally in front of our house. There was a band, like a band of young, like teenage 20 somethings playing like oldies, like rock and stuff. And they were really good, like really legitimately. I was like, wow, all right. Like not like blow you away amazing, but really quite good.
What's
they had a
great
good
about
repertoire.
the 4th is meat.
Yeah.
I really like
food.
Meat. I'm not an evangelist about meat. I just really like meat.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Vegas and Phoenix, you could be invited to someone's house and you would have both grilled chicken and steak in the same meal, and people would just give it to you. And that's amazing. So meat is more important and readily available. And you move back to a place like Portland and everybody's like, you get invited to fucking vegan barbecues. And I'm like, I'm going to pre-eat and then have no expectations. I'm not going to trust vegetarians to like grill. So 4th of July, one of the things that is good is it is a meat holiday.
Yes. We had ribs.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. They were great. Liz made them. And then we went to do fireworks. And this was the first time the 2-year-old knew what the hell was going on. And we had a really nice show that was like at the end of our road. And there's like a big elementary school yard area. And you could see big fireworks going up. It was a long show and the kid loved it. And it was super fun.
Yeah. I dig it. I do like fireworks. They're pretty. And the booms are kind of fun. I wish that what would happen is that like the big fireworks just happened in specific locations that people could purposely avoid instead of having big loud ones. Cause I'm not fond of like dogs being terrified and veterans having PTSD triggers and those sorts of things. Like I think it could be great if there were zones where these things could happen, like effervescently, like fervently.
I'm pretty sure that is the way that it's supposed to be, but nobody fucking pays attention to it. There's fireworks. Fireworks are completely illegal here, except for big shows like that. And they were going off for 3 days every night around here. Like I could hear them and see them sometimes. So I don't think the cops can really enforce it. But I mean, yes, I think it's supposed to be that way, that it's only supposed to be in certain places and no one listens.
But freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently freedom means...
I shouldn't say no one listens. There are a lot of assholes out there that don't listen, let's say.
Like
you and I both don't do that. So
I want the toilet seat to be predictably somewhere that's useful for everybody. And I want people to use turn signals. And if we can't start there, I'm not going to believe that anybody's going to like not do fucking fireworks.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't trust a country that can't like, anyway, toilet seats and turn
Independence Day. Is that where we want to start?
Sure. Well, see, here's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the Tomorrow War just came out. So I want to be able to talk about the themes in it without spoiling the movie, and I think I have a way to do it.
All right,
so that we can talk about them. Because I enjoyed that movie, and Independence Day has been out since forever, so we can like go into it. I watched it last night. Independence Day, which is fun. It came out the year before Contact did, or they both came out similarly timed, and they both receive a signal from space. But in Independence Day, the signal is because the gosh darn ship is right by the moon when they get the signal. And so there's this like decoding a signal. I love that it's 1996 and we don't have computers. It's so interesting. I don't think I've seen the whole movie in a long time because I would watch whenever it would come on HBO, I'd watch wherever it was. So watching from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I may have only done like the once or twice, but forever ago. So signal comes and they're just like slowly figuring it out, and different groups of humans are dealing. So it's an ensemble movie, much like all of the other disaster movies. Aliens show up.
Can I talk a little bit about my history with this?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So I watched this movie in the theater and it was a big deal because it was like, no, you'd never seen special effects like this. And it was really a special effects piece. It was like, this is a summer blockbuster to me, when people say like Star Wars, the summer blockbuster, not for me, because I wasn't alive then. The Independence Day was the summer blockbuster in my memory when I thought about a movie that was just like, eat popcorn and blow things up.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. And then I believe on DVD. So I'm guessing it was DVD time. So DVDs had already come out. So it's years later. My dad had 2 movies. We had other movies, but my dad had 2 movies. Shrek and Independence Day. And he would watch them pretty much every other like that. Just
what?
It was on all the time. And it's a good movie. But it's not that good a movie. I don't think for me personally, any movie is good enough to be on that much. Listen, I'm not judging him. I understand that some people like repetition and you just want to go back to something that feels familiar. Yeah. I'm watching Firefly again right now for the 4th time in a row. So I get it. I get it. I'm just, that movie for me, I have seen that movie. This is why when you were like, did you watch it? I'm like, no.
And I'm fine.
But I've seen it a lot. And I love it. Honestly, it's so formulaic and it's so dumb.
Yeah.
But it's so fun. And it's like, it's the end, I think, of the era of one-liners. Would you agree with that? Like, The Matrix didn't really have one-liners. It had quotable lines, but welcome to Earth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fat lady singing. Oh, I loved Harry Connick Jr. being so fucking over the top prior to getting killed. But
he's like, okay, we're hiring you because you need to be the charming, lovable best friend that we're going to kill to play a particular note. And it's like such a caricature. And when I first watched it, I didn't know who Harry Connick Jr. was. So then I became introduced to his music, listened to him quite a lot, and then went back and rewatched the movie later on and was like, oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of people were aware of him at the time, and this was him getting into like acting and different things. I loved him in that role. This is Will Smith's like big breakout before we declare every summer is like Big Willie. 4th of July.
After this, it was, I think, Men in Black, and then Wild Wild West, which was not as much of a hit, but this one was, I think, the big Will Smith summer blockbuster thing. I'm trying to think, I kind of want to filmography this for a second and see what was he doing before then.
This was kind of his breakout because he was in a serious movie, 6 Degrees of Separation, and he was great.
Which I love.
And I think essentially he's not, I mean, this is a weird movie because he's a main character, but he's not like the main character necessarily. Bad Boys
was first.
Okay, great.
So that's what I thought. So 6 Degrees of Separation was 1993. Bad Boys was 95. And then nothing. Oh, Men in Black is first.
Ah, really?
Yep. Men in Black is 97.
No, this is 96.
No, you're right. Oh, I just skipped right over it. It's Independence Day, 96.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air goes from 1990 to 1996. So he literally got off this, and Independence Day was his big break. Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
There's some stuff. Actually, the special effects actually kind of hold up.
Oh, I believe that. My recollection of it is that their use of miniatures, that's why it holds up. Very little CG stuff going on in this.
Yeah.
Their use of miniatures was incredible. And they used a lot of what's called bigatures, which are like their reduction in scale, but they're still gigantic. So when they blew up a lot of those buildings are 30 feet tall or something. And the fireball that you're seeing is real.
Yeah.
So that's why the special effects hold up.
For me, so when I saw this originally, I don't think I saw it in the theater. I think I saw it. I think I saw it on HBO. But I was also a lesbian then. And so I did not fully now I remember liking Jeff Goldblum, and I just didn't realize how fucking sexy he was in this movie.
Oh, got it. Okay. I was like, where are you going with this?
At the end there with the cigars and the swagger next to Will, like, and he's like towering over Will Smith. And I'm like, Will is great. Like, I love Will Smith at the time. He's like, feels like my buddy. I have many of his raps memorized.
So do I.
And so yeah, watching back last night, I was just like, good God. Now, the other thing is it was probably in some rewatching in the mid-aughts where there is this scene, and I have always loved it. And I got choked up last night because it's so simple and it's very Jeff Goldblum, and that they capture this on the fucking screen. These kinds of moments. I love capturing like moments of truth or just things that just stick out that no one else will give a fuck about. So they're in the plane. They're in Air Force One, and Jeff Goldblum's character's like, his dad's like, you knew, you had it, you had the thing, you should have looked at it. We could have been warned. You've been warned. Area 51. What's it? Area 51. And he's like, and then the president's like, that's not real. And he's like, the CIA guy is like, actually, that's not true. And then you get Jeff Goldblum is like, which part? And then it's this. He opens his fucking fingers, and it is the most epic thing. It is the subtlest, most beautiful, very Goldblumian fucking moment. He's like, which part? And it's this. His face doesn't like, it's his fingers that just open just a little. I know
exactly the moment you're talking about. It's right around the plausible deniability line.
Yeah.
And yes, Jeff Goldblum is a treasure, and his performance in that movie, like, he's such an odd leading man. He's such a weird dude. But he absolutely sexy.
He's so grounded in that movie.
Can we detour for just a second?
Sure.
Movies that we could explore. One movie that I really wanted to watch recently. I've seen it before, but you might be interested. It's a movie from 1990 called Mr. Frost, starring Jeff Goldblum as,
oh my God.
Well, possibly the devil.
Oh, great.
So it is a very serious portrayal, I guess, of a man in a mental institution who claims to be the devil and goes about convincing a psychologist who doesn't believe in any of this supernatural stuff that it might actually be real. And Jeff Goldblum, I will argue, never been sexier than in that movie. And that includes the shirt open scene from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I have a movie. I don't know if it's just called Philadelphia, because I know there's a movie called Philadelphia, but like it's like Mr. Philadelphia or something. There is a movie where Jeff Goldblum goes back to his, no, it's called Pittsburgh. That's what it is. Sorry. I know. 2 different cities, same state.
Oh boy, you just pissed off people from both of those cities that are now offended that you equated them with the other city.
Okay. Pittsburgh is a mockumentary comedy film that follows actor Jeff Goldblum as he attempts to secure a green card for his Canadian girlfriend by appearing with her as leads in the summer regional theater production of The Music Man in his hometown of Pittsburgh. So it's a faux documentary in Pittsburgh with...
Sounds like Jeff Waiting Goldblum for Guffman or something like that.
Yeah, it is so good, and no one knows this movie exists.
Good God. Okay. All right.
Pittsburgh,
do we want to do a bit of a Goldblum marathon?
Sure. That'd be great.
All right. So back to Independence Day.
Here's something that's interesting. Recently, I saw the movie 2012, and we saw like Tomorrow War, Independence Day. I think there is a rule in disaster movies that there must be a dog that survives.
Yeah.
In Tomorrow World, the dog is the other scientist, but we'll get to that. But that like becomes an important thing. And I don't know if Independence Day started that trope.
I was just thinking that the dog, what is it? Boomer, I think is his name. I told you I've seen this before.
Yes, you have.
But that's a meme where the dog is jumping through and like I can't remember what it's like. Boomer is safe or something like that, and like that's a meme about the dog surviving moment and like, oh no, not the dog.
Yeah. Well, the one with John Cusack
but
has a dog too, and like, how is that dog making it? Because this is insane.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's like in the movie where there's like the core of the earth is changing temperature, whatever that one. I don't think there's a dog in that.
There's a dog in there. They didn't find one. They didn't bring one in the little thing. I'm actually shocked. That is the dumbest fucking movie. And I'm actually shocked that doesn't have a dog, that they didn't bring a dog. I have to bring my little dog.
Yeah.
Independence Day destruction porn, right? Just like, oh, look at them blow up all those things and look at all those people die. And it's like there's a level of absurdity with violence and destruction where it goes past a threshold where it's like, what's the old line about like one person dying is a tragedy, a million people dying is a statistic or something like that?
Right.
That like you can't feel enough emotion to feel what you should feel when you're looking at New York blowing up or the Empire State Building and all these people. Yeah. And so you just kind of go, and also, it's not real, but like it tips over this edge where it plays with buttons that you can turn up, and think about how tragic a single death can be in a movie and how much that can make you feel in the right context. And then you go, well, multiply that by several 100,000 and you can't do it anymore. So that's you just kind of eat popcorn and go, huh, huh.
We play around in hypnosis and such with thresholds about what something means, like the level of meaning and how it stays. And I hadn't entirely thought about it. I did think about the fact that this movie was one of the first to not be precious with a city, just like we're blowing up everything.
Well, the White House, that was a big deal. That was like there was controversy around the vision of the White House exploding. And I remember at the time there was something about the beam shooting into the White House had to be noticeably fake looking. Like it needed to look alien because it couldn't look like a terrorist. They wouldn't allow that to be on screen to show, like, even just to have a video that you could pull out of it and be like, look, the White House exploded. But they were like, no, there's an alien beam above it. And so clearly that's from this movie. But yeah, the destruction porn thing, I think really kind of started then. Twister, as far as like disaster movies.
Oh, I fucking love that movie so much.
I love that movie. That was another summer blockbuster that I remember. Man, I could taste popcorn when I think about that movie.
I taste other things, but so God, that's such a sexy movie.
Which one? Twister?
Twister.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about that later. Let's stay on.
Okay. So what's really hilarious to me is apparently it's like, I get that we're watching what's happening in the United States, but apparently no one else has resources enough to figure out anything or try anything. Apparently all the other countries are just like twiddling their thumbs and they're like, we don't know what to do. They're like, when they get the Morse code, oh, good. Like the Brits in the fucking Iraqi desert going like, oh, good. The Americans are doing something. That's not the accent for them. But I'm just laughing like, you're kidding me that like no one else has resources enough to have figured out something?
Now what you're finding, what's interesting, and this illuminates the real problem. It's not just arrogant fucking Americans. The issue is money, because now what you find is every big blockbuster movie has a scene or an entire segment of the movie set in China. And usually they have there are actually scenes in Marvel movies. I don't know if you know this. But there are scenes in the Marvel movies that are not in the American version, where Iron Man, for instance, has to go to China and get help from a Chinese scientist who's the only person in the world who can solve the problem. I don't actually have a problem with that being in there. I have a problem with it not being in there in the American version. That's what makes me feel squidgy.
I was super confused with like, okay, I'm like, oh, so Avatar kind of squeezes by in this instance because, okay, I think, was it Avatar that I had this problem with? Some recent movie where they don't have any people from India and they don't have like anyone from China. I'm like, Chinese and India.
That's not
like,
that wasn't
for
Avatar.
Technology, for having technology and all these other things. I'm like, how do you have a scientific lab in fucking space in the future, and Chinese people and people from India are not there at all?
Yeah.
There's just, everyone's white. And I'm like, well, it was written in 95 and it was filmed in 2000. Where like the turn of the tables of technology blowing up there had maybe not been that. It was very strange. It was incredible oversight. Just like, how do you not have like fuck tons of engineers? It was dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's still weird to me that we have movies where you have like engineers and scientists and they're not from India at this point, or China.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if it was Avatar, because if it was, I think you missed it, because like two of them, like the main character assistant, other than Sigourney Weaver, the main character scientist is Indian, and he's in the movie quite a bit. He helps like rescue the characters.
He's one guy. He's one guy. Also,
but, so you're talking about all the other people in the background, because most of them were too.
I don't think so.
No? All right, I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah, no. Well, and all the military people were white. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that if we're going to space, a lot of military people are from Mexico and they're black. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Except for, again, that main character, the main character, what's her name? She's from the Fast and the Furious movies too. Mm-hmm. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, fucking yeah.
Like the Latino
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes. Tough girl, basically. Like whenever you want to hire someone for that role, it's always her.
Yeah. I'm saying it doesn't make any sense that the military isn't full of Mexicans and black people in the future, to me, because like that's what we have now.
Yeah,
that our military is very colorful, because apparently white people cannot be spared. I'm just saying that was very weird for Avatar to be so white. And it's
not as surprising when you look back at Independence Day and like the Independence Day, America saves the whole planet. Of course it does. But I mean, I do get, from a certain extent, it's like, well, we made the fucking movie. Why are we going to say France did it? Like, I understand that Bollywood doesn't make movies where America saves the day.
No.
On the other hand, I think like we're getting better at that now, with good movies that really are focused on a more realistic depiction of how things might go down.
What I do know, but still, okay, so I just like, right now I just giggle at that, but like apparently no other countries had resources to try things and figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't believe, that's not believable, but that's fun. And it's easy to overlook in 96.
Yeah.
What I do remember from then is apparently when they take down the spaceship in insert Africa here, you've got the
oh my god, right,
with the spears.
Just because we need you to know that this is Africa in like one quick moment, we can't.
There are apparently 0 cities in Africa. Like, first of all, if that's Africa, black dudes with spears, if that's Africa, why are the aliens there? Like, apparently there's not enough. Like, they showed up with a whole thing.
Yeah, they're going over major cities. That was the whole point.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like condescending and like I just movies like that are so lowest common denominator. Like this is like how dumb America is, and oh boy, can we talk now about Tomorrow War? Is that a good transition?
Yeah. Well, what I loved about Independence Day,
this movie.
I actually really I really do joke sometimes that I thought that aliens would be the unifying force that would allow us to just all be humans for the first time. And I've liked that concept. COVID, we thought was gonna, if our systems were set up equally, I think COVID was going to be a uniting force until the government looked and saw that really just Black people were dying. And they're like, we don't care anymore. And then shit changed. Like the fervor of things just went a little different. We're going to take this seriously this much, but not, I don't know. So I thought that was going to be the unifying. We're all humans. We're all in this together. So I love that thrust of the movie. And I hope that we can get to a place. Maybe we will need aliens to show up or fake it. Fucking get enough technology to fake it. Being attacked
have you seen The Watchmen?
Is that how they did it? I've seen so many things since then.
Actually, now that you mention it, I'm conflating the book and the movie. So in the movie, they made it Dr. Manhattan himself who created this disaster, but in the book, it was an alien, and the mastermind who was orchestrating this event in order to unite all of humanity believed that we needed an external force to get us all to wake up to this idea that we're killing each other. And he believed that by sacrificing millions of people, he could unite the whole world in peace and he genetically created this tentacled monster and then teleported it into the middle of New York, and it like destroyed several buildings and all this. And the idea behind, and then the rest of the story is the same as the movie, which is Rorschach says, no, it's built on a lie. It doesn't count. You don't get to have peace built on a lie. And that's a very interesting idea. Anyway, yeah, Independence Day definitely has a very dumbed down version of that concept of like, let's unite the world. That Bill Pullman speech still resonates in my head. And I love seeing, it freaked me out seeing Brent Spiner as anybody but Data. This is like the second most iconic role he has, and there aren't many others for him. I thought Will Smith is charming as fuck. This is probably peak Will Smith, maybe. I don't know. Men in Black is pretty great. That movie, that
trilogy is very healing. Did you watch the third one?
I did, yeah, and it was not as good as the first. And I even liked the second one better than the third one, but I thought Josh Brolin was really great, and there was some fun stuff in the third one. It just didn't quite have the same magic. A lot of people didn't like the second one, and I actually thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And kind of moving. I think I remember the end with Rosario Dawson making me a little weepy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, Independence Day is rad. Can we talk about Tomorrow War?
Yeah, Tomorrow War. Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to set up the first scene because I think that we can talk about the themes of the movie with essentially or the first two scenes, and then we're not spoiling that much. So we get this scene with Chris Pratt, and he's like falling out of the sky. And I guess he and his family, they're throwing a football viewing party. Is it a holiday? Is it 4th of July?
Well, you didn't explain that first scene at all, though. That doesn't happen till he successfully falls out of the sky.
But it goes back in time.
Right. So it starts with him falling out of the sky with a bunch of other people in a burning city. And then he falls into a pool on the top of a building. And then it says 27 years later or earlier or something like that. And then we jump back to the other part.
Yeah. So it's a football thing, or if it's, is it
soccer?
Soccer match. So in this scene, you have him establishing that he is a scientist and he is on the phone for an interview. And he's playfully with his daughter. He's teaching her science. That's super important in their relationship. Science is awesome. He's a pretty talented scientist and he's trying to get this great job and he thinks he's going to get it. But then they pick some other person. Super, super sad. And the soccer match is interrupted by humans from the future saying that there is a war against aliens and we are losing and we need your help. And so they install some sort of like draft and they're trying to pull humans from the past to fight this future war, which is fucking cool as a concept. But also in this scene, we learned that Pratt's character is not talking to his father. That is the thing that's introduced. He's like, there's like, no, this is a relationship that has been severed. And there's this thing between he and his daughter, where he's like, he feels like he's destined for something big, for big things. And his daughter's like, I believe in you, Dad. You can do it. And there's this thing where he's just continually disappointed and going after like some greatness. And he has some job that's beneath him, right? And I think those are the biggest things that are introduced. Have I missed anything from the
No, I think as far as the deeper themes that you can play with in this one, it has a lot to do with healing parental relationships and finding your own path and your own destiny. And I think that sets it up pretty well. If you pay attention to that, it shows up in multiple ways throughout the story.
Yeah.
All the way to the end.
I think this is a really interesting, like, straight up. I watched it a couple days ago and I cannot tell you why he's disconnected from his father. I guess his dad left.
He just left, yeah. And he said that he could come home from, I don't have to spoil it, but he just wasn't there.
He just wasn't there. So, okay, that's the thing. He wasn't there. So here's the thing that I relate to. So there's this idea of, as a person, believing that you're destined for greatness, that there's some sort of bigger thing that you want and going after that. In my own life and family, my mom spent a lot of time, even still, my mom really, really, really wants to be and wanted to be famous. She wanted to be a big star. And part of how that, I mean, she didn't like raise me. My dad mostly raised me, but she was around in some of it. And I kept getting this idea that you could either be great or you could have a family. Because it's not that my mom was just like, there were many things that were keeping my mom from her greatness, but she was very obsessed with this idea of who she wanted to be. And thematically, this has shown up in a lot. I don't think it shows up as much now, but in the 80s
it
and
definitely
90s,
does. Yeah.
This, like,
but I think this is a
somebody.
really common belief. This is a really common thing that people wrestle with of, I want this thing, but I have to sacrifice this. And that balancing of specifically about family or relationship. And like, no, I'm going to make it about being the best in the world or being significant or successful.
Right. I don't know if I've seen it as much lately. Like, to see it in this movie, it was reminiscent to me of things that I had seen in the 80s.
I just meant, I think it still exists in people. That, it's definitely still a thing, even if it's not showing up. I definitely know, I know what you mean. Like in the 80s and maybe in the 90s too, it was a trope. Yeah.
Yeah. That most stories are like the death of a salesman. Right. Win somebody. Right. Whatever. And I know that line is not actually from that show, but it's one of the shows.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Exemplifies this thing of somebody like striving, and there's also the bits of like, as you're striving for something, who are you disappointing? Like, that's a rule. And for women especially, like, you can either be a mother or you can be successful, and there was nothing in between, except for now I don't think
I've talked to any woman who doesn't struggle with that one at some level.
Yeah. Like, the idea is you're supposed to sacrifice everything to be a mom. is one of the rules. But now we even have this like mompreneur chic where tons of women are like, you can have it all. It sounds exhausting. I keep thinking about where this idea of greatness comes from, that we get installed with this, whether somebody has a core knowing of themselves that they're meant to do something great and maybe they're unlucky, or like, I don't know. Like as much as surviving is something that's sort of core to us, like, oh, we have to keep living, most of us. This drive towards greatness, is that part of our culture?
I think it is definitely more prominent in the West, for sure.
Okay.
But I think that it has to do, like, I'm going to tie this back to a couple of different philosophies. I think that it has to do with the odd and even levels in the spiral dynamics values. Mm-hmm. So the individualistic numbers versus the collective numbers, and the more that a person has that individualist side brought up in them, that the more yang they're going to have, and the more oriented towards special. And I have to do something great, and it's about me. And that's not necessarily bad. It can be, if you have it balanced, I want to do something great for as many people as possible. And that's kind of both of them. The other side of that greatness thing, I think, relates to the hero's journey. And the way that I teach this is the reason that human beings, I think this is one of the lessons from studying Joseph Campbell, is the reason that human beings resonate with stories, particular stories that are about the chosen one. Whether it's Neo or Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker or Moana, there aren't as many good female examples, and that's not just me not being able to think of them. There aren't as many of those movies made, but there should be, because it doesn't matter. The point is there's a protagonist character who is special in some way, and nobody knows it, and they are destined for great things. And Campbell, I believe, makes the claim that the reason so many people, not everybody, but so many people resonate with that story is that is our own inner journey. The inner journey of discovering that you are, in fact, the most important person in the universe, and you are destined to save the universe. It's just not this universe, it's this universe.
Yes.
And when you realize you are the Messiah, you are the chosen one, you are the one who has been prophesied about for this world, then you go, oh, I can actually be that hero. And I think that a lot of people who don't resonate with those stories, it's because they really are like, I'm not special. What am I going to do in the world out there? And it's like, well, you'll never find that. You'll probably never find the way that you're special externally until you get this journey internally.
Yeah, I was thinking about the way in which many of the clients that I work with have inverted a positive value. And what I mean by that is a lot of the problems that people have and the ways that they're stuck is that they have a value that was an idiom from the past that sounds like it's positive, but it's blocking them. And I keep thinking about this, the truth of the desire to pursue your own greatness, and then the imbalance of what it could cost you to live obsessively, always striving in some direction that's it seems to always be extended. And if you have, I don't know, if you have that pull or that desire, it causes its own suffering. It's that Buddhist challenge of.
And I think the way to hack this system, in my own personal philosophy, is that you have to learn how to pursue things for the pleasure of the pursuit and not because of the pain you're trying to avoid. It's towards versus away from. If if you're always striving to be great because what you're doing is never good enough. And I see this so often. And it's not to say that's not an effective way to become great. There are many people who have created amazing art and amazing transformation and results in the world who did it because they beat themselves until they got there.
Yes.
But my argument is, what kind of world does that leave us if we're all doing that? We're all making ourselves miserable for something. And I think maybe if we were all figuring out how to pursue things because you want to and not because it is painful to not do it. And it's such a weird thing because you're talking about taking the same action. Like, I'm going to be disciplined and I'm going to be focused and I'm going to make sacrifices and it's going to be hard. And I am going to have to work really hard. But why am I doing it? And the difference is, am I doing it because I truly want that? And it feels harder to do that. That feels like keeping your heart open even though it hurts, as opposed to doing it because you're moving away from something. Feels like I'm running from something. It feels like closing down.
Well, and there is a difference in the live story. Like in my own house, the pain of watching someone not like desperately want something and not get it, and then have them not be present to what's actually here and is amazing. And also not even be participating in the activities that could actually get them where they want to go. There's
that's
a very
clearly
big
there's more going on there.
Yeah. There's a big difference of like somebody who's yearning for something, but they're not taking actions and they're not building, and not necessarily appreciating what's going on currently. So I was just thinking about how we endeavored to talk about Cutthroat Island, this ridiculous flop of a movie, and the learning that we got from it, from the ending there, is it wasn't the treasure they were pursuing. They just loved being fucking pirates. And how much different that would be is if you call yourself a someone who is seeking greatness and you have an identity, maybe we're like life pirates.
Well, just think about it as a writer. I'm a writer. Well, does that mean, like, what does that mean? It means I'm writing. That means I like writing. It doesn't mean I have published a book and I've sold it and I've did it. It means I like writing. I am a writer. I am a pirate. Are you not a pirate if you haven't found buried treasure? No, you're still a pirate as long as you rape and pillage and plunder. Okay,
is it the Vikings who rape and raid, and pirates just steal? Do pirates have to rape?
Oh, I don't know. I assumed that it was kind of a part. I mean, if you're living beyond the law, do they have a code of ethics? I didn't get the impression that they do.
Now I'm going to go to a Ren fair and okay, which identities have rape or not?
My girlfriend knows a lot about pirates. I will ask her about this.
Yes, is the raping required? Fuck, that has to be in a movie. I am so wanting someone to write a movie where like rape isn't just implied, but somebody's just like,
sorry, what?
Here's what I'm saying. So most dystopian futures, or most futures, for whatever reason, you go to some sort of future planet, and if you're female, you walk into the scene and something happens and you're kidnapped, and of course you're going to be raped. We're just assumed. It's like assumed. It's presumed, whether we're in a future or a different planet made of different cultures. Everyone's just. Women are going to be raped. Fortunately, in like Outlander, you've got men get raped too. Good God. Okay, great. But like, I just want to go to some future planet where no one's thinking about raping anybody. Like, there's got to be some rapeless cultures that survive. And
I really feel like the way that you said it was the opposite. That you're like, I don't want the rape to just be implied. Oh, no. I want to see it or whatever. I didn't know what you meant.
No, I'm sorry. It's just like implied is probably not the right thing. Just like, of course, we will rape.
Expected or assumed. You don't want the rape to be assumed. Yeah.
Like, maybe we get to a future state where everything's awful, but people just aren't raping anymore.
I mean, I feel like if you have people that you're trying to give the impression that they are they don't care and they're beyond the law and they have no ethics, and that's going to be one of the things they're going to end up doing if they're human.
Maybe the Shannara Chronicles is something that I watched where no one seemed like they were going to be raped. It's an MTV production.
I mean, I think there's a lot of movies that don't feature that as a central part of the story.
Well, not the central part of the story, but like when somebody is like lost or kidnapped or ends up somewhere sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens a lot.
I
do get it. It's a go-to way to show this character is in deep threat.
Right.
And it's like,
and it's not equal. It's
no.
like not all of the humans are in fear of being raped.
That's very true. It's very true.
Plus there's just like, I could probably easily get hired as an extra or whatever as a female who can tan, and I will play. I don't think this is a prostitute. I can wear the wig. I can wear a wig to be a prostitute easily. But yeah, I can be murdered and kidnapped and raped. Tons of parts for women if you want to be a prostitute who's murdered or raped or kidnapped. Because there's all of the crime fucking dramas, and that's
so you're
every
feeling
episode.
like this is unbalanced, and there should be more female rapists in the future.
I just think maybe we could write, if we're gonna write the future and other beings, other creatures from other planets, what if patriarchy and rapitude and colonialism isn't the only thing that happens?
Well, I think the dilemma you're running into here is we're talking. There are many stories that show future cultures where they're not barbarians, but the idea is if you're showing a culture where or a group of people that are criminals or they're bad, and you need to put your character in danger, there's only a few things they can do to somebody that most people nowadays are like, this is a horrible thing. You can steal their stuff, you could torture them, you could kill them. And you can rape them. That's about it. What else can you do?
I think you could cover them with ridiculously itchy boils.
Torture.
That would be awful, right?
Okay, so you want other kinds of torture.
It could happen. Yeah. I'm just saying people aren't being very creative.
Agreed. It's an amnesia writing. It's an amnesia level writing crutch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that.
I don't think there was any rape implication in Tomorrow War.
No.
I don't think yeah. I did not love this movie.
Okay.
It was hard for me to get into. But I do appreciate every time that I have that happen and you are like, here's what I got out of it. I'm like, oh yeah, I missed that because I was sitting there all butthurt about how stupid I felt like the story was for me.
That's happened to me.
Yes, exactly. We've definitely done this before. So this is an exercise. This is part of the exercise here.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, yeah, there's something. Because I watch stupid movies and cry and get emotional. Yeah. And in this one, I had such a hard time seeing past two things. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but the two big things were like plot points about like time travel is always complicated.
Yes.
Whenever you have time travel, you basically break the story. Yes. And so I get that they had a few ways of trying to kind of handle that here, but there's still some plot holes to me.
I went to bed
holes.
Trying to do time travel math after watching this movie. I'm just like, okay, so, and then this happens, and then what if, but maybe that's always what happened. And wow, just super fun.
Yeah. So I had a hard time with that. And I had a hard time with some of the, you know what this movie reminded me of? It made me think of that speaking of Will Smith. Hey, good job. I tied them together. You remember that fantasy cop Netflix movie with Will Smith with ogres and things like that, but it was in like modern times.
It's called Pratt.
That movie also drove me crazy because it felt so utterly predictable. Like it was like, oh, I know in 5 minutes I know how this movie ends. I know every point that they're going to hit in this movie. Right. And Tomorrow War felt like that for me, that it starts out and I'm just like, okay, I know what okay. And it's like every moment felt obligatory. And it just didn't feel fresh or original in any way.
Yeah.
And that makes me want to recommend a movie for you.
Oh, okay.
That I forgot about until I was watching this, and it made me think of a movie that I remembered being holy crap fresh. And I don't know if you have seen it before. Have you ever seen a movie called Attack the Block?
I don't know if I have.
I shouldn't tell you anything. I mean, the actor in the new Star Wars movies who plays the Stormtrooper Finn, this is the movie that he got his big breakout in, and he's phenomenal in this role. And then they cast him in the Star Wars movies and gave him nothing to do as that character. But he's great, so good in this movie. And in terms of like an alien movie,
yeah.
So I'll give you that much of a hint: an alien action thriller kind of movie that is like nothing you've ever seen before. This movie's great.
I was just joking in my head that, like, oh, they gave him something to do. He got to be dopey, and I'm confused.
Exactly.
Well done.
Yeah.
About everything at all times.
God, he was one of the ones, I think, in an interview who they asked him, would you ever come back to do Star Wars? And he was something to the effect of, like, he laughed and was like, never in a million years.
Oh my God, poor guy.
Yeah, I know. It's such a like crazy thing to take on.
I tweeted this, that Tomorrow War and Army of the Dead, which I also watched this week. We don't have to talk about it. I was like, I know it's 2021. What do we need? The world is ending. Yeah. Let's send comedians to fight the world ending, because you've got Marilyn Rice Cub, who I love. She's hilarious. And this other guy who I don't know. He was like in Tomorrow War. The other scientist, the black guy whose name I've never seen him.
He was the puppy.
Like, he was the puppy that you just kept. We got to
keep him alive.
Yep. This adorable.
No, don't let the dog die.
Makes the most sense. Although fucking Army of Dead, Tig Notaro is fucking amazing in that movie, and when I watched it, it made me think, how the fuck did we not have Tig Notaro in every action flick that has ever existed?
That's the one thing I heard, is Tig Notaro being the literally shoehorned in piece of that movie is the best thing about the movie. And like every scene with her in it is great, and every other scene is utterly and completely skippable. I still remember the I think it was an hour-long special that she did. Did you ever listen to the one
the right half-hour live?
I can't remember what it was called, but it was right after she got the diagnosis. Like literally within an hour of going on stage, she had gotten a diagnosis that she had breast cancer. And
no, she found out like two or 3 days before. She had booked the Largo date.
Right. Yeah, maybe this is...
she'd booked the Largo date, and she found out several days before that she has cancer. But after all these other things, the show is called Live. Tig Notaro Live. It's about 35 minutes long. She's like, hey, how are you? I have cancer. How's it going? That's how she starts her comedy routine.
Yeah.
She's fucking genius.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Unbelievable. And I remember when I heard about it, the comedian that was talking about it said he was in the back of the room, and it was like nothing he'd ever seen. Like it was one of the most real, raw, visceral experiences, and everybody felt it.
Yeah. Well, and it was one of those moments where you'd like to really see a master of their art using their art form to do something fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it is the pinnacle of comedy. And it's up there in like Richard Pryor genius, because Richard Pryor, Carlin takes things to the edge, but Richard Pryor had like the emotional. She would captivate people with this actual shit show emotional journey and make it funny. There are times when he fucking didn't, but when he had it together, he took that form to another level.
Yeah. Many people put Pryor on the Mount Rushmore of comedians, probably up there with Carlin as well. But I don't know. Carlin, to me, as far as like consistent hits, I feel like Carlin created a lot, and there was a lot of misses, and people don't talk about the misses, but there are other comedians that are more hit than miss. Like I feel like Chappelle in that way, to me, is a better comedian than Carlin, just because if you just look at like how often does he miss, and I'm sure he did a long time ago, but Carlin was missing almost every other year when he would create a special every year.
Fair. Well, and the other thing that's challenging for Carlin is when you're one of the firsts. Like the good thing for Chappelle,
he's blazing the trail. That's a good point.
For Chappelle's sake, there's a lot of people that he can compare himself to, and they built the fucking industry.
Yeah,
where you can financially afford to go out, and so more comedians can exist, and then you have technology that allows you.
You're absolutely right. That's a good point. It's easier later. You know, like in that way, it's more impressive to be Elvis than Michael Jackson. Even if you say Michael Jackson is clearly a better artist, performer in almost every way. Yeah. He didn't have to blaze the trail and become this icon that had never been before in the way that Elvis did.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and the good news,
run.
Yeah. Good news for any of us, if we follow this philosophy, is that if we don't have to be the Elvis or Michael Jackson or Carlin or Chappelle at all. We only need to be the Chappelle of our own story in our own world and be the superstar of our own internal universe.
Way to tie it all back together.
This is what I do.
So are we on, is next time Mr. Frost and Attack the Block? Is that what we're doing? And then
are they related?
No. They were just the movies that we mentioned. Pittsburgh was the other one, right?
If you can find Pittsburgh and Mr. Frost, we can do those, and we'll do a Goldblum day, I think.
Okay. All right. I'm going to watch Attack the Block tonight.
Okay.
So I will definitely have seen that. If we can't get to the other ones first, we could do Attack the Block first. Okay. When was Pittsburgh? I can't find it in the filmography. Oh, 2006.
It's like hidden. If you go to IMDb, it's not on Jeff Goldblum's IMDb. I have the fucking DVD. I have it.
Maybe it's because it says maybe he's playing himself. Maybe that's why.
Maybe.
Because that always shows in a different part.
It's so fucking ridiculously good. I love that he's playing himself. Not that anyone else could.
How the hell am I going to find it?
I don't know. It's sometimes I have deep cuts.
It must be. I mean, if I can't find it, I'll let you know, and you gotta we'll figure out a way to get it in my hands because it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I may need to figure out how to rip the DVD into my own hard drive and then have it on Plex or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it. Good show.
Yay!
TV Great deeply. Talk. Reasonably good movies. Good insights about those movies, though.
I think if people have my sense of healing their own striving incongruencies when they watch Tomorrow War, I think it'll be a worthwhile experience.
Yeah. We both apparently still need to work on learning to relax that thing, because you've had it with a couple of things I've suggested, and I definitely felt it with this one. Not so much with most of the other things you've recommended, but the like stupid action movies, science fiction stuff. I've got a stick up my butt about it still, and I got to fix that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just like explosions. Yay.
Yeah. I need to be able to shut off my brain that much and then be able to go, Jade, what's his name? What's his dad? I was going to say J. Jonah Jameson, but that's the character he plays in Spider-Man.
Oh, his dad's so red. I didn't look up his dad's name.
he also plays Cave Johnson in the Portal games. And most recently he was in that animated superhero
Simmons.
thing. J.K. Simmons. I knew it was a thing. Yeah. I want to experience J.K. Simmons as my reconciled dad. He's great in that role.
He's so good. Yeah. Well, and Yvonne, what is it? Strahovski? How do you say her name? I love her. I've missed her since Chuck.
I love Chuck. I never finished it. Is it worth finishing the last couple seasons?
Yes.
Yeah? Did they stick the landing? Because it got long in the tooth at some point for me.
It does. What I think they do is they find a way to have Chuck integrate and grow up. So if you decide to watch Chuck as what happens when you can grow up your unconscious, because the evolution of...
So it has a journey that goes somewhere that feels satisfying in the end. Okay.
Yeah.
I may give it another shot because I really enjoyed it for a while. We ate 3 seasons of that up. And it's so silly and funny. And that actor, I when he was in Shazam, I was just like, oh, yay. I like him.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that happens is he's get this supercomputer in his head. And then think about it. You get a supercomputer, but you're an infant. And then how do you grow into actually fully utilizing and embodying that level of genius? That is our own journey.
I like that.
And then becoming a partner to these people who had been protecting him all this time.
I like it. All right. Yeah. I'll put that back on my list. Cool.
Yay. Okay.
TV deeply, everybody.
See you later. Bye.